I supposed to do the live where I won't redo for everybody, but we did this Ukraine versus Russia saga. Now, you know, very funny, very interesting that everybody they blame Nigerian government, say we no fit go carry our citizens. How about the Nigerians? We get private jet everywhere. Nigerians really they reach 10,000 before they go 2 or 3 trips. 2 or 3 trips. If they don't even want to use their plane, there are people in this country with enough money, you know, to pay for planes to bring our people back. You know. So yeah. And also, while we pray for our people in Ukraine, let's not forget that we have 2 million Nigerians, over 2 million Nigerians, internally displaced people living in squalor, in camps all over the middle belt states in Nigeria. Let's use this period to remember the war that they two are running from in our own country that nobody pays attention to. You know. Now, before I enter into the report of the racism where Africans they face for Ukraine and Poland border, we must go back to the historical. You see, when we do not go back to the historical causes of issues, when we don't remember the people, you know, we must go back. See, in Nigeria, we don't like history. When you're talking about our history and how we forget the past, what's going on now, blah, blah, blah. Listen, brothers and sisters, very good. Official J Bobo say pastors have private jets. When pastors they carry private jet money for their hand, they say it is to spread the work of God. What is more the work of God than to go and help our brothers and sisters that are in Ukraine? What other work has God designated for the past? Is it only to help us from juju? People are facing death. Send your jets to pick them. What are Nigerian pastors doing? And all the Islamic, you know, because we always forget, all these emirs, all these, they are religious leaders. You see, you go say Imam no get jets because the equivalent of a GO in Islam is the emir, the sultan. Those are the spiritual head of the mosque. They all of them get private jet too. They can't tell me there are no Muslims in Ukraine right now, Nigerian Muslims. They can't tell me that. Anyway, I'll go back to tell you about the necessity of history. You see, for Nigeria, we say, what's this? You see, history reminds us of the responsibility of the present. I repeat, history is what reminds us of our responsibility in the present. All of us as Africans, we know inside our hearts, we know in our souls that if we pay attention to our history, we will be responsible for our present. That is why we ignore history, because we want to be irresponsible. We want to drink too much, we want to smoke all the time, we want to fuck all the time, we want to chase girls all the time, we don't want to, you know, live life all the time, go on holiday all the time. We don't want to create African time. We don't want to create African time for our development, for our progress, to create the time. No, we want to use our time anyhow. We want to be irresponsible. That's the reason why we disregard history. So when you look at Russia and Ukraine, you expect Russians to disregard their history according to the way they've taught you to disregard your own history. But the Russians cannot disregard history. It is foolish to disregard history. You see, what is happening in Ukraine today has started in Europe hundreds of years ago. Let me tell you people, it is because of Africa that Europeans stop fighting themselves. I will repeat, Europeans were in a state of constant conflict for over 500 years. It is at the Berlin Conference in 1888, based on the wealth of Africa, based on the spoils of Africa, that the Europeans say, listen, let's stop fighting. Stop fighting. Look at this Africa. Let's just share it. Let's share it so that everybody can chop here. Everybody can chop. This is how Europeans stop fighting themselves. Now, you must understand the difference also between Eastern and Western Europeans. When you hear the word slave, it comes from the Western domination of the Eastern Slavs. You see, Russia is full of resources, full of gold, full of iron, full of oil. And the Westerners have been trying to get their hands on it for centuries. Now let's go to modern history. During World War I, as the world was fighting, see, let me tell you, nothing changes the social order more than war. You understand? Once there's war in a society, the social order of that society must change. World War I, right, is what destroyed the last yoke of European slavery. World War II is what helped African people destroy colonialism. I'm telling you, go and read your history well. World War I helped African people to destroy slavery finally. World War II helped African people to destroy colonialism finally. World War III, when they shout, do we know the progress that we can upend in our society? For fight, we don't even see, listen, it doesn't concern you. Ukraine and Russia. Europeans are a minority in this world. Europeans are a minority in this world. We, the indigenous people of this world, the black and brown people of this world, we are the majority of this world. We are the majority in this world. Do you understand? So how can the minority of the world be fighting themselves and we are saying that there will be world war? What kind of world are we living in? That alone should let us know that we are not living up to our responsibility. If the minority is fighting and that fight is going to turn to a world war, what is going on in the existence, in the sovereignty of the majority people of this world? That is a clear sign of oppression. That fight that you did not start, you must join it because some people are fighting. Anyway, let me bring it back to the historical reason why the Russians can never allow the Western Europeans to enter their border with weapons. During World War I, the Russians had the Russian Revolution immediately in 1919. The Russian Revolution followed. What was World War I? It was Austria and Germany attacking Russia, Tsarist Russia. So you have to remember then Russia was a monarchy. So when the Russians, this fight will not concern them, they died in their tens of millions with their Tsar. Anyway, the people rose up and removed the Tsar of Russia. They removed the Tsar of Russia from office. See, these Tsarists, so they now fought the civil war of Russia. The Bolshevik Revolution, yes, Kufu, thank you for telling them. They fought the Bolshevik Revolution, which was now the workers, the people fighting against those people that are still supporting the monarchy, the Tsarist Russians. But after they were defeated by the people, they ran to their cousins in Poland. They ran to their cousins in Poland. So you have to remember, Poland is very important in this conversation. And how Obama tricked Putin to lose Poland to NATO. Yes, Obama did that job. Let's never forget that. Now, when the Germans were going to attack Germany in World War I, they came through Poland. It was through Poland that the Germans entered the Soviet Union. Entered Russia. So now, during World War II, this is the most important war, as everybody knows, in our time. We must understand World War II. World War II. What happened in World War II? What happened in World War II? What was this war about? This war was about Germany. If you remember, after Germany lost World War I, Germany lost all its colonies in Africa. Germany had nowhere to exploit, as capitalists must exploit. That is why Hitler was always talking about the living space. That what Germans are doing is reconquering the land that they lost in World War I. Always remember, that's how they started the war. That they're not fighting anybody. They just want the land that German people lost in World War I, so that they can have living space. Lebensstandard, I got it talk for Germany, German language. This is how they entered into the war, right? But what was the name of Russia, Hitler's party, the Nazi party? What was the ideology of the Nazis? Fascism. Who started fascism in the world? The United States of America. Forget Hitler. In 1936, Hitler was named Times Man of the Year. The Nazi party was launched in the United States of America. Many of the biggest supporters of the Nazi party were in America. If you read Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, Hitler praised America, because we as Africans, we forget eugenics. We forget this scientific theory that is now being destroyed and debunked, that the Europeans created to justify racism, called eugenics. You people that say that racism is not real, there was, until 1930s, people were studying a course called eugenics. Eugenics meaning that one gene is stronger than the other. So we as African people are scientifically beneath everybody, who are the bottom of the eugenics pool. So in America, up until the 1920s, they used to kill and, it's not kill, they used to castrate those people, black people, Indian people, Chinese people that didn't fall into the right eugenic pool. Hitler said in his book that he praised America's ideas, but America did not go far enough in Mein Kampf. Now, General Franco was the first fascist government in Europe, in Spain. The second fascist government was Mussolini. The third fascist government was Germany, right? How did these people get into power? What happened? What created Franco? What created Mussolini? What created Hitler? You must remember, always remember, after World War I, the whole of Europe turned their back on capitalism. The whole of Western Europe. They turned their back on capitalism when they saw the damage it caused to them. The war. The Great War, as they called World War I. How it destroyed lives for no reason apart from the selfish interests of arms manufacturers that we are still living under till today. Europeans started to vote in communist governments in Spain, in Italy, in Germany. They started to vote in socialists to reform their country, to reform the economies of their country. Britain and America refused this change. Britain and America refused this change and started encouraging people like Franco to carry out coups. General Franco used a coup to remove the Communist Party in Spain. So now let me teach you one of the game of international politics that you might not learn, that you might not know today. You see, I am 6 feet tall. I weigh about 82 kilograms, right? If I am to fight a man that is maybe 5'5" and weighs 65 kilograms, I definitely have an advantage already over this man right? So if you now come to the fight and say, oh, you are a mediator in this fight, oh, you see me as a big, like this, I won't fight this small person, right? You now say, no weapon, use only your hand. You now say that is a fair fight because you say that nobody should use weapon, that they should use only their hand, knowing fully well I'm already at an advantage with only my hand. What can maybe bring that guy to my level in the fight? You understand? What can bring up that level to the fight, right? Is that maybe he uses a weapon. You understand? It's like when they tell you that you have free will but give you only two choices, like Abrahamic religions do, or you are heaven or hell. You understand? How about, oh, I don't want to participate in the fight of God and devil? How about that option? That option is the real free will. You understand? But you don't have that free will to say, oh, I don't want to participate. You must participate. Either you go to heaven or hell. If you don't participate, you are going to hell. If you participate and you participate well, you are going to heaven. If you participate and you don't participate well, you are going to hell. That is not free will. Free will is that I don't want to participate at all. That's the true free will. And we don't have that. Nobody should tell me about free will. You understand? So now, where the communist ideology came out from was Russia in Eastern Europe, from the Communist Manifesto written by Karl Marx. You understand? So the United States and Britain supported the military. Even Hitler was a coup. They supported the military takeover. So America in this first fight of Spain said nobody should supply arms to both the fascist government of General Franco, who controlled the military. General Franco already controlled the military of Spain, right? Let's remember that he had all the arms. So he now did a coup. The people now rose up against him. The people did not have arms. America now said, nobody should join the fight. Nobody should supply arms. They should let Spain sort out its issues. That was the fair thing to do. How can you deny a people that do not have arms the opportunity to buy arms, fighting people that had arms? And you said that was the fair thing to do. You understand? So this was the beginning of fascism in Europe. So these fascists, they all combined together. Their main strength became Germany. I'm just giving you a quick rundown of the history. They now attack Russia again. They attack Russia in the Second World War. Through which country? Through Poland. They attack Russia in the Second World War again now through Poland. Stalin, after the war, let me not go into the intricacies of the war. It's too deep, too long. We don't have time to go into all that. But after the war, Stalin now decided that the security of Poland was the, because you have to remember, Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union. Ukraine was not the border of Russia at that time. It was not a different country. Ukraine and Russia, they were one by Second World War. They were Soviet Union. Poland was the border. You understand? Stalin said, we must control the security of Poland because it is through this country everybody is coming to attack us. The fascists of Europe, when they got to Kiev, now this is what is bringing into recent history. When they got to Kiev, right, they met a group called the Right Sector during the World War II. The Nazis met a group in Kiev while they were attacking the Soviet Union. They met a group called the Right Sector. This Right Sector, they were the Ukrainians that wanted independence for Ukraine. They wanted Ukraine to leave the Soviet Union. They now joined with the Nazi people, right, to fight the Russians. When they now saw that the Nazi people were not trying to give them what they were asking for, they now started to fight both the Nazis and the Russians. But here's my point about the Right Sector. Their argument is that, they did a deal with the devil. Now, I don't respect people that do deals with the devil. For one reason, I know the devil does not like a good thing. Once something is the devil doesn't want a good thing. So if you are after a good thing and you align with the devil by nature will be against your good outcome that made you align with him in the first place. Are you understanding me? Aligning yourself with the devil means that you are the devil. I don't care what anybody says, because everybody knows the devil doesn't want anything good. So if you want something good, how can you align with the devil that doesn't want anything good to achieve something good? It is impossible. So by right sector's alliance with the Nazis in the Second World War, I see them too as Nazi. Nobody can tell me anything. You can't align with Nazi if you are not Nazi. Even though you end up fighting them later, you might have little internal. So anyway, the Russians won the Second World War. Forget what anybody tell you. Second World War was over. The west of Europe, they formed NATO. Right? They formed NATO in response to what they said was the Soviet threat. What was the Soviet threat? They said that the Soviet was expanding into Poland. But Stalin had told them that he is adamant about the security of Poland, and it is necessary for him to be adamant about the security of Poland, so that Poland does not become a country that people can pass through to attack the Soviet Union again. The leader of the right sector in the World War II time, his name was Stefan Bandera. I went to go and investigate that just to be sure. So now, fast forward to 2014. Let's fast forward, let's jump the entire antics of the Cold War between USSR and Russia. Let's come to our, in fact, before we get to, let's come to our own relationship as African people. What was our relationship with the Soviets? After the Second World War, as I told you in the beginning, African people started to fight for their independence. We died in a war that did not concern us. Over 200,000 Nigerians went to die in the Second World War. Our grandfathers went to fight. My mother's father, my mom's dad, fought in the Second World War. I was telling him when I was a kid to tell me about the war. He didn't even know what he was fighting for. He just knew he went to Japan to go and be fighting in the bush. You understand? So after the war, we as African people began. If you can use us to fight war, how can you not be telling us that we are not human beings? All those Africans begin to rise up. If in Africa, in America, we had our support mostly from the Soviets, while America and Britain and France and Italy and Spain were all conniving together to kill Lumumba, to remove Nkrumah, to sabotage Sankara. All these things that happened during the Cold War years, the Soviets were supporting Africans in Mozambique for liberation, in Angola, in South Africa, in what is this other country? Mozambique, Angola, South Africa, in the Congo. It was the Russians that supported African independence. It was the Africans, it was the Russians that supported Africans to gain our independence in our fight. Yes, Kufu, thank you. I was trying to remember Namibia and Zimbabwe. The Soviets shed blood. They died for Africans to be independent. So let's even agree that we don't want to have any relationship with them. Let's agree that we don't know them. They are wrong. Okay, forget them. But historically speaking, are they our enemy? What did the Russians ever do to Africans? The Russians were never involved in the slave trade of African people. The Russians are not here in our continent stealing our resources. Name one Russian company in Nigeria that is big, that is a big company that we all know. Russia themselves are protecting their resources in a way that our leaders shamefully cannot protect us. That's why we are here shouting World War III, World War III. World War III, World War III. All of us are shouting that our government should not. Many of our leaders in Nigeria were trained in the Soviets, and many of our professionals in Nigeria were trained in the Soviet Union. Many of our leaders in Africa were educated in the Soviet Union. One of their schools in Russia is still named after Patrice Lumumba, I think. See, that I said, how many of their company is big in Nigeria? There's Gazprom, of course. There's Gazprom. But is it the same as Shell? I mean, it's oil business. I'm just saying. Russians do not come and interfere in our elections in Africa. Now, what brought us to this place that we are in 2022? In 2014, after Obama had tricked their way, Obama had tricked Putin and allowed Poland to join NATO. NATO wanted to expand into Georgia and all of that. This is where all of this conflict started. The annexation of Crimea, you know, and all of that by Russia. Now, don't get me wrong, I do not, in no way, shape or form do I condone any nation just because it has the ability to, the might. Might is not right. Just because you have the might does not mean you should use it against others. Might, I believe that power must only be used to the benefit of others. If you are truly powerful, your power must be used to benefit other people, must be used to benefit nature, must be used to benefit humanity. I do not believe in the world that I want to see, in the world that I am working to create. In the world that I am working to create, I do not want or don't want to see people using power to oppress, power to destroy. I only want to see power building, power protecting, power and, you know, embracing. Because this is what is missing in the world today. Everybody in the world thinks that power is just there to do as you like. We forget that the real reason that there's power, the real reason that power must exist in the world is to make the world a better place. And not a better place for just those who have access to the power, but a better place for everything, including the ants. Including the ants of this world. So now, Ukraine is half Russian. Ukraine is half Russian. Meaning that half of Ukraine is Russian people. Half of Ukraine is Russian people. This is where Putin has drawn the line. Those are his forward base, in a way, let me put it. To say, okay, whatever Western Europeans are doing, we will not let them get here. Because if you remember in 1961, Cuba and the Soviets were in alliance. When the Soviets put missile in Cuba, because Cuba was in America's hemisphere, America launched war against Cuba. The war is still happening till today. You understand? You know, in the olden days when people fought wars in the world, with their castle, they had their castle, everybody will run inside the castle town, they will lock the city gates, then the enemy will come and lay siege. They will lay siege on that castle, lay siege on that town, be throwing rock at the wall and you try to break. But that siege means that food is not entering the town. You understand? When you are trapped inside your wall, it's the food people have that you must eat. Once that food runs out, you must give up. So if they can hold the siege until your food runs out, you will give up. So when you hear sanction today, when America say they sanction this country, sanctions are an act of war. You understand? People think sanction is diplomacy. Once it has reached level of sanction, that is war. That is another country is laying siege at the gate of another country. They are stopping things from going in. They are stopping things from coming out. That is a siege. You understand? That is a modern day siege. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the sanctions they put on Cuba for that mishap they still not lifted the sanctions till today. America will never accept for Russia to put missiles, any kind of defense program in Mexico, for example. in anywhere in Jamaica, in anywhere in their axis, in Panama, no matter what, it will be an act of war. America will respond aggressively. Now we live in a world where America says that they are protecting democracy. I posted Putin's video because I've been following this story diligently. I posted Putin's side of the story on my page because all we have been hearing is Ukraine and NATO side. Ukraine and NATO side. Oh, Putin is a bully. Putin just attacked Ukraine. So I now say, is this Putin mad? Me try the thing say Putin the what kind of crazy man is this? Everybody just the rest. You just carry yourself, go they start war. What kind of person is this Putin? So I now want to listen to Putin, to his own side of the story that they are not telling anybody, that are not seen on any news. They just show his own words. They will not allow this to happen. Bam, they'll cut him. Is that all he said? Let me go and find some things that he said. And now went to find. And now hear the allegations he laid against the Ukrainian government. When I heard these allegations, and I went to investigate those allegations, I went to check online. You know, if I don't dare now, Google now, if I go for Google, I say, this thing, did it happen in Ukraine true? I be Putin is lying. It happened. And everybody was quiet when these people are doing this kind of thing. What kind of world are we living? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, don't let this fight doesn't concern black people. I believe that the Africans that are trapped in Ukraine right now should be an eye-opener for us as African people, the way they are being treated. Instead of that, Nigerian people are saying, instead of opening their eye to the racism, to the hatred that we are going through right now in Ukraine and Poland, they are saying, pray for Ukraine. They say Ukraine must take care of their people first. It's a lie. You take care of your guests first. Is your guest is the priority. What kind of nonsense talk is that? If I am a guest in your house and something is happening, I am your priority for safety, even before your family. What is the nonsense that Nigerians are talking online? Everybody opening their mouth and talking shit. When America bombed Libya, Reno Mokri that is talking this, that is starting this argument that Nigerian government, because wants to blame Buhari, by all means. When America bombed Libya, Jonathan was the first president in the world to congratulate America. Jonathan was the first president in the world to congratulate America for bombing Libya, a fellow African country. Now he's criticizing Russia for bombing Ukraine and saying Nigerian government not airlifting people. How many people did they airlift from Libya? We are guests in their country. Not we go to their country, go start fights. We are there working. We are there going to school. Fights happen. You are abandoning African people on podiums of the train station. Abandoning them in the border, not allowing them to cross, saying you are going to allow Ukrainians to cross first. What kind of racism is that? What kind of racism is that? People are still arguing that so they should allow their citizens to die. So we too should allow our own citizens to die. I don't know how African people think like this. In this Nigeria that we live in, how many Europeans have we killed on the streets for anything? How many Europeans have we attacked? In their own country, they keep attacking African people. They keep doing all sorts of things to African people, and yet you people, you are looking for visa, or because you marry, you have a Igbo girlfriend, or you are living in Europe and a Igbo man has given you job. You think you are special? That those Africans that are going through these things is their problem. Yes, our government have their problem. That's why we are fighting to change this kind of people from government. But we must call a spade a spade. We must call a spade a spade. Nonsense talk. Nonsense talk. Anyway, now America will never allow anybody to put missiles in their border. Why should Russia? You think that Russia is all like that is inviting America to come and build military base in his country? Do you know what sovereignty means? Do you know what it means to be an independent nation, to stand for yourself, to take care of your citizens by yourself? Now you have all these companies that are funded by America, like Serap, where they don't collect over $3 million in donations from America, and say Nigerian and ECOWAS should respond to Russia to drag us into matter that doesn't concern us, as if we are going to be the priority for American protection if this world war comes. If World War III comes to this world, will Africans be the priority for Europeans to protect? No. Do we have the means of protecting ourselves? No. But we want to go and join matter that doesn't even concern us. What will happen if Russia takes Ukraine? What will happen to your daily bread in Nigeria? How will it affect how you sleep? How will it affect the police that is slapping you on the street? What is your business? Why must we always chook mouth? Because we want to be relevant in matters that don't concern us. You understand? Africans, due to poverty, we are voiceless. Due to poverty, nobody hears us. We are silenced. When we are going through our own things, like the 2 million people, over 2 million people in the IDP camp in this country, I repeat, nobody in the world cares. Is silent. No matter how we talk, no matter what we post, it will never trend globally. But once we see a global trend, we want to attach to it so that our voices can be heard, so that we can be relevant, so that we can escape poverty. For that minute minute, we can feel relevant. For that millisecond, for that 15 seconds of fame, you can insult anybody on the issue. Just chook mouth in the issue, and it should be, part of a global conversation. Instead of us to build our own capacity to become global powers on our own. That when we sneeze, the whole world will catch a cold. Instead of us to be dreaming of how to develop our nation, we want to be using freedom anyhow, like idiots. As I said, it is because of our irresponsibility that we disregard our own history and expect the Russians to disregard theirs. Now, in 2014, Russia has been, since they lost Poland, they prioritized Ukraine. The government in Ukraine was pro-Russian. The West came to give Yanukovych, the president of Ukraine, a democratically elected president of Ukraine. They said they want to give him trade deal. He said no, he doesn't want European trade deal. He wants to trade with Russia. That it is Russia he wants to do business with. Because of this decision, the people in Kiev rose up to remove the government of Yanukovych. You understand what I'm saying? This is a democratically elected government. They were removed by violence, led by the right sector. Now, if you have fought a war against Nazis, that 25 million of your people died in that war, and you hear that an organization that supported those people are leading any kind of movement, are you going to be comfortable to do business with such a... The right sector were part of the people that removed the Yanukovych government. The right sector are Nazi. They are fascists. So now, after they remove the democratically elected government, they removed the government. They now placed as soon as they did that, the eastern part of Ukraine, which was Russian. So I don't understand this. If you say it is true that people have the right to do self-determination, right? Because many people supporting America and Ukraine in their bad act, Russia too is doing their bad act. Many people in this, I see that you are Easterners too. Many people are Igbo in this thing. You are supporting yourself for self-determination in Nigeria, and you are against the Eastern Ukrainians that are fighting for their own self-determination. That is not fair. That is not fair. I just have to, if you are Igbo and you are supporting anybody but Eastern Ukraine and Russia, I think you are a hypocrite. Now, as soon as they remove the government that wanted to support Russia, the eastern part of Ukraine, which is completely Russian, they speak Russian, their culture is Russian, their ancestry is Russian. They held a referendum in Donetsk. Don't play with my Russian language, yo. Donetsk. They did a referendum that they want to be independent from the west of Ukraine. That they want to be independent of the west of Ukraine. Russia has every right to support the Russians in Ukraine. Now, Kiev decided to declare war on eastern Ukraine. The west of Ukraine decided to declare war on East Ukraine for declaring independence. They say it's a war to unify the nation. How can you want to unify a people that have held referendum that they don't want to be part of you anymore? Russia decided to protect their people by giving them arms and training to defend themselves against the Western Ukrainians. Now Ukraine started to persecute the Russians in their country. Persecute. See, me, I do not support such behavior. When Putin was saying this thing in the news, I'm telling you, you can go and research it yourself. When Putin was saying it, I thought Putin was crazy. Now, don't get me wrong, I do not think that Putin should use violence. I don't want this to, I just want you to see the full picture of what is going on so that we don't lose our minds in Africa as we usually lose our minds. I feel that Putin has the power, Putin has the resources to go a different route than violence. Putin can offer many things to the Western Ukrainian government, right? Putin can offer many things to the Western Ukrainian government to sell peace to them. He has so much to offer them that they can accept and agree peace and stay with him. His choice of using force, for me, is erring, is oppressive. But at the same time, I understand where it's coming from. I am a human being. I understand what is going on. I understand where he's coming from. People understand where it's coming from. But even people in Russia are against war. Humanity moving forward, we are against war. We might understand your grievances, Mr. Putin. We might know where you are coming from, but we are against your tactics of proving your point. You understand? This is a legitimate position to take. You can say to Putin, the world can say to Putin, and I think this is the way the world should speak to Putin if the world also wants peace. Not the way America and NATO are speaking, because they too want to sell arms. They are pushing the war. They are the ones that started this war, not Putin. I just want people to know that it is the West that started this war, not Putin. Because if we speak to Putin like a human being, if we speak to him like a leader of people, not talk down to him, if we speak to him as a leader of a sovereign nation and say, listen, Mr. Putin, we understand your grievances completely. We know what you are going through, but we do not support this, your tactics of war. We believe you have the capacity to bring peace in Ukraine without violence. Let us talk to his humanity, not talk down to him as if he has no rights. See, this is the Western propaganda, and that will not achieve anything. That will not achieve anything. It will only make the matters worse. See, it is the Europeans that were pushing the Western Ukraine people not to negotiate. They agreed in December last year. I mean, December 2020. They went to Belarus, Ukraine and Russia. They agreed to the Minsk agreement. Minsk agreement. Google this. The Minsk agreement between Russia and Ukraine. That Ukraine will allow these people to be and not oppress them and stay neutral from NATO. And as soon as they left the meeting, Ukraine started to break all these agreements, bringing in NATO, accepting NATO to the extent. Now let me tell you, this is where Ukraine for me fucked up. They started to ban Russian language in schools and public area. Half of your country is Russian. Why will you be banning the speaking of their language? That is persecution. Nobody said anything about that. Imagine if Fulani people suddenly ban us from speaking Yoruba in Nigeria. Say that this is their country. Or even say that nobody should speak Yoruba in the north. Imagine if Yoruba people say that nobody should speak Igbo in the west. Imagine if Easterners say that nobody should speak anything but nobody should speak Hausa in Eastern Nigeria. How will we feel as Nigerians about that? How can you do such a thing to members of your people and you say that you are the good guys? For me, that is why I know that the right sector is in charge of the Ukrainian government, because that is a fascist move. That is how fascists behave. That's how the Nazis behave to the Jews. That's why I said that that's why the right sector can work with Nazi to say they are trying to bring peace to Ukraine. How can? What? They decided to close Russian TV stations. That is not democracy anymore. Once a government starts to close news agency that is in opposition to its own views, that represent its own citizens, I repeat, they are Russians in Ukraine. Half of Ukraine is Russian people. Half of the country is Russian people. How can you ban Russian stations, ban Russian language? How can? And nobody said anything. Instead, America was supporting them. France was supporting them. NATO was supporting them to do this kind of fascist behaviors. I'm not making this up. Trust me, I just found these things out 3 days ago. Because I've been looking at what was happening in Ukraine. It no concern me. I swear, I've not really paid attention. Ukraine, what it concern me and Russia and Ukraine. This is white on white violence. We African people have no peace. I know they pay attention. Nigeria and Wahala alone. But the last 3 days, I had to go and do my due diligence. I study the matter. I go back to the things where I know about Russia for history. It pains me not really go deep into the relationship between Poland, which happened after the Second World War, between Poland and Russia and the West, and what Obama really do there. It will make this matter too long. But trust me, Russia is responding. So why are people not taking these transgressions by Ukraine serious? So now, when you understand that right sector, when you understand the fascism of the Ukrainian government, you can now see the reason why they are treating our brothers and sisters the way they are treating them in Ukraine right now. It would be stupid of Russia to allow Western Europe to put missiles on its border. It would be stupid of them. So me, I'm not here to say one thing, do two things. I will not talk down at Putin. I do not understand the propaganda of America. A country that lied to the whole world that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. They lied to the whole world about the financial crisis and crashed the world's economy. Now, they will say that because people are protesting their government makes them legitimate, right? They support the coup that removed Yanukovych. This is the last point I'm going to make to open some people's eyes. Maybe because you don't understand statecraft. You're just there following CNN and BBC and Reuters and all these French news, and you don't understand. You can't think for yourself. You can't research. Do your own due diligence so you can think for yourself, right? America will invade a country because people are protesting in that country. America will say because they are supporting the right of protest, that it is democratic to protest. They will now allow protesters to topple a government and say that it is legitimate for protesters to topple a government while supplying the protesters with weapons like they did in Libya. You understand? You see, the protest that brought down Libya did not even happen in the capital. They protested in the capital for like a week. Gaddafi came out, spoke to the people. The thing quenched down. Then they now started to protest in one small town called Benghazi. That's where America now started to go and arm. Let's not forget that they were arming so-called moderate extremists. Moderate extremists. Now, what is the meaning of a moderate extremist? They were arming them. They brought down that country in the name of protest. Not by ballots. They brought them down. In Ukraine was a democratically elected government. America supported the so-called uprising led by Right Sector, a fascist organization. They supported Nazis to topple a democratically elected government because that government did not support them. The way they supported Mobutu to topple Lumumba, a democratically elected government. They supported Afrifa, Achampong, all of them in Ghana as they destroyed Nkrumah's legacy without election. They say it is the right thing to do. It is the democratic thing to do. Okay. Last year, 2 years ago, thousands of Americans stormed the capital of America. They stormed the capital aiming to bring down their government. They said that their government was illegitimate, that they rigged the election. Thousands of people stormed the capital of America. Till today, America is calling that a crime. They are prosecuting the people that stormed their capital. They are calling it a coup in America. When it happens in America, it is a coup. It is not democratic. You people be here talking rubbish as if people have not tried to use protests to bring down American government. How many protests have black people held in America that they will use police and dog and gun and pepper spray and beat it to destroy the protests? How many countries have taken arms to support the protesters in America? Americans stormed their capital, I repeat, aiming to bring down their government. America says a coup. And that is the right thing. If we are in a democratic society, the only way to bring down the government is by ballot. You as a people have the responsibility to organize yourself to the level that you can independently bring down the government in the ballot. As long as it is a democratic society. I don't want to hear anything. No democratic society where the oppressor is infallible. The only thing missing is that the people lack the organizational capacity of their oppressor. The only reason Nigeria is the way it is today is because our oppressors are more organized than we the people. The moment we the people understand the need for us to organize against our oppressor, we will bring them down democratically. We will not shoot one shot in the air. Bah! You will not hear one gunshot. But because we want to, as I said before, we want to be irresponsible. We don't want to do due diligence. We don't want to engage. We don't want to create African time. We want CNN to do our thinking for us. We want BBC to do our thinking for us. You want influencers to do your thinking for you. You want musicians to think for you. You don't want to take your own time to take your destiny in your own hand. You want pastor to think for you and give you blessing. Mugu. 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 Live Mugu. So I repeat, let us not say that America is taking democracy anywhere that is, because Putin is a democratically elected president. Whether you like it or not, he has held the election, he has won. It is the Russian people's business. If the Russian people don't like Putin, it is their responsibility to organize and bring him down. It is their responsibility. It is not America's responsibility to go there and help them. If we Nigerians are ready to be free, we will organize and bring down our government ourselves. We don't need the help of anybody. But you want somebody to come and do it for you. That's your own problem. So you are happy that America is going around saying they are doing it for somebody, thinking they'll come and do it for you. America cannot come and bring any kind of change in Nigeria because Nigeria works for America. Whether you like it or not. All these Yahoo boys, Mugu boys that say that they support America. America now they fund EFCC. America is the one that fund EFCC. Your number one enemy, all Yahoo boys in Nigeria, your number one enemy is funded by your best friend. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Yahoo boys, these are hard. Yahoo boys that love America more than anything. It's the same America that is funding your worst enemy. Hey! Aye Monica. Aye Monica. Listen, una be wise. Una be wise. Wiseness must enter your body, whether you like it or not. Wiseness must enter your body. But let us use our mouth to draw what is not our own. If you're going to analyze something as important as this war, please make sure you get your facts right. Understand when I tell you that CNN, BBC, Fox News, all these people, they are warmongering. They are postulating for war. Because from war, they make money in their military industrial complex, which controls almost anything in this world that they do. You don't make anything from that. That's why they are happy to be pushing Ukraine. Because Ukraine is going to be, since Ukraine is fighting Russia and by proxy they are fighting China, all the weapons they will buy will be coming from America and NATO. Now they sell them weapons. So just all this is because they want to sell weapons. Has nothing to do with safety, has nothing to do with security, has nothing to do with democracy, has nothing to do with humanity. So to end this show, please, all our men of God in Nigeria, men of God meaning the GOs and pastors, big pastors in the Christian side, and the Sultan and Emirs on the Muslim side, please gather all your private jets. It's time to do God's work. It is time to do God's work. Our people are stranded behind enemy lines. They have been neglected. It's time for you to do God's work. Muhammadu Buhari, we have 11 private jets in your fleet. President of Nigeria. How dare Nigerian Senate talk to airpeace about airlifting Nigerians? How dare you? Nigerians in Ukraine, we have 11 planes in our fleet. Maybe 3 in a helicopter. The planes should move now. You know the only reason why they don't want you to see the kind of luxury that Buhari is flying inside. That's all. They don't want you to see the kind of luxury you are using your money to enjoy. That's the only reason. They know it is not. They know if they use it to carry Ukrainians to Nigeria, they will do video inside all their private jets. When Nigerians see the kind of life, so you are all Christians. You say this thing is for the work of God. It is God that ordained you to be emir. It is Allah that ordained you to be sultan. You are the head of the Nigerian mosque. It is the God that gave you vision that you are a GO. It is God that said people should donate for you to buy it so you can spread His word. Now is the time. With more less than, with all the private jets in Nigeria and our presidential fleet, you won't have to go to Ukraine 2 times. We know plenty like that for there. Officially, we are 5,000, they say. So if officially we are 5,000, that means say the real number of Nigerians there will be like 12,000. Because our boys was there. So move. Please move. That's how I'm ending this. Please move. Send your passport. When they send a go pick babe for London. When they send a go pick babe for Dubai. When they send a go pick babe come from Paris. When they send a go pick babe from South Africa. It's time. Go and pick our people. Go and pick our people. When I let African ancestral gods begin curse and fire all of una for way and a generation, go and pick the people of Nigeria up. Thank you very much. Disguise. You know, our Minister of Information.
What happened to our Minister of Information?
The most honorable Lai Mohammed might drag us into something that is not ours. So please, just in case, because the South African
Minister of Information,
she don't talk her own. She don't want Russia, and you know how Lai doesn't like to be outdone. So I don't want Russia. Now, if you want Russia, pass that road. Because Nigeria is in fact sending troops
Nigeria
to Ukraine. Please.
I doubt Nigeria will ever come out to say that. But you know what, guys?
Nigeria can join. The only reason
they will never take a
if
stand.
Russia refused to borrow us money. Now will call now and say, we want to borrow money. Putin, what do you think? If Putin say, we don't have any money, Ukraine for life.
Alright guys, welcome to your number one show, The People's Perspective, brought to you by Africa's #1 luxury homeware store, Adam and Eve.
Yes, to get that feng shui living experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
I don't want to say what I normally say because you now start saying that's Seun's opinion. Let me just keep quiet.
Always say that
no, it's true because I don't know.
Okay.
If someone cannot have favorite shop in Lagos anymore.
You can have, but you just have to point out that it's your opinion.
I said it is my favorite shop. Is that not mine? Doesn't that mean anyway?
That is Seun's opinion.
You see?
Anyways, guys, welcome. We know that a whole lot is happening around the world at the moment. There is a trending topic that we definitely have to carry on talking about. We're talking about Russia invading Ukraine in the early hours of Thursday morning. We did see videos and pictures that were rather heartbreaking, and of course this has caused some sort of shock across the world, with world leaders coming out to speak either for or against the move. We did play a filler for you right before getting on air, just giving you a backstory on what's been going on. But remember when Michelle was handing over to me, I said in the studio I have with me our historical encyclopedia, because I know that she was going to dig deep to give us a clear perspective as to where all this friction is coming from, because it didn't just start yesterday, and it didn't just start with the agitations that we've been seeing in the past couple of months. This is something that has been from years before, and that's what we're going to be touching on before we segue into how it really does affect us as Nigerians. So Seun, please take us through that, because first off, we know that one of the issues at the fore of this particular invasion is Ukraine showing interest in joining NATO, and with Russia pushing back against that. We know that that's just one of several other issues that have compounded and led to this invasion that took place just yesterday.
That is one nuance that is very tricky in this conversation, that Ukraine was showing
interest in joining NATO.
Ukraine was actually showing more interest in strengthening ties with Russia.
Interesting.
In 2014, it was 2014. Yeah, I think it was 2014, and then they had this big. Still think they had a pro-NATO rally that removed the government of what was his name again? That now put that to Ukrainian's richest man that used to sell chocolate, Poroshenko. I remember his own name. Whatever that really organized this rally in Ukraine. And what is tricky about this organization is that they have ties with with the Nazis. So the organization says that during World War
Devil is better than
yes,
angel
exactly.
you don't know.
I mean, I don't believe that, because the devil means something bad. Like, he's even against anything good happening for you, his friend. That's why he's the devil. So I don't really believe when people like aligning with the devil as a reason to do good. You know, I don't really believe that. But that's the organization's excuse, that they were aligning with the Nazis. Imagine. But a lot of their rhetoric is quite neo-Nazi. You know, so that whole revolution, as they called it in Ukraine, that now brought in this pro-NATO government, you know, it has been the issue in Ukraine, really. So, but here's what is tricky. Half of Ukraine are Russians. The entire eastern part of the country is populated by ethnic Russians, you know, due to their ties with the Soviet Union. A lot of Russians moved to that, you know, place. And even Crimea was a gift from the Russians to them back in the 20s, I think. And Putin took it back first. So he took back that historical symbol of their friendship. And Putin is saying that the Eastern Ukrainians, who are Russian speaking, are being persecuted by the new government, and it is his duty to protect his people. But that is not the real reason Putin is there. The real reason Putin is there is even more strategic, and I think it's even more glaring, is that it is impossible for Russia to allow NATO, because if you look at what NATO has been doing in Eastern Europe, they've been bringing in all the countries that are bordering Russia into their organization, which is now giving them the ability and the right, the military right, to put weapons at the border of Russia. So it's just like Russia going to sign some kind of agreement with Mexico and Canada and putting weapons at the border of the United States. The United States will not take that line down. It will do anything it can to change the will of those governments that are allowing those rockets to come to its borders. I mean, we all remember the Bay of Pigs in 1969, was it? When the Cuban government of Fidel Castro aligned with what's his name? Why is everybody's name skipping? All this,
Skipping your mind.
yes, this the Soviets under, what's his name again? Not Gorbachev. Gorbachev is the one that wrecked the Soviet Union. What's this guy's name? Oh my God, I forget his name.
We'll probably remember.
Anyway, I'll remember as we go on, I'm sure. Anyway, so they had weapons put in Cuba. I mean, it launched the war. I mean, Bay of Pigs, America sent mercenaries, Guantanamo Bay, all these crises happened from that singular act, you know, because America knew how dangerous it was for Russian weapons to be at its border. So this is really the grounding of this conflict, that Putin does not want NATO weapons on his border, and he's using the excuse of the Russians in Ukraine to demilitarize Ukraine so that Ukraine does not have the capability to even be a NATO ally. Talking of allowing them to have, you know. And I think the Americans have also played quite a sinister role in this whole setup, because instead of being mediator, they have been quite the, how would I put it? That friend that is pushing you. They've been enablers,
yes.
you know, because there's no way Ukraine can defeat Russia in a war. It's a little country fighting this beast of a country. You know, and the rhetoric America has been giving them was like, you know, don't worry, anything that happens, we go fall in. Anything that, no. People on my DC are saying it's Stalin. It is not Stalin. No, Stalin was during World War II. This was, I forgot it. It is killing me that I forgot this premier's name in. Oh my God! One of the most influential, eccentric, brilliant politician. I can't believe I forgot his name. Anyway, so this is the issue really. It's a military issue that Russia does not want the West expanding to its borders. You understand? And America itself is, as usual, trying to play the police of the world, controlling everybody in a way that they don't want to be controlled, or creating rules that they themselves do not follow. Because as we are speaking, American allies Saudi Arabia are bombing Yemeni people to the ground right now. For no reason whatsoever other than the Yemeni people chose their own government. The Yemeni people decided to be democratic and chose a government that the Saudis and the Americans did not agree with. And yesterday, 37 bombings. 37 bombs were dropped by Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
Yes. It's only 2 dozen that Russia gave Ukraine. That is all over the news. Saudi Arabia gave 37 to Yemen yesterday. Same yesterday.
And I feel
Israel is dropped about 7 bombs in Palestine last week to Obi these past few days. Nothing is, I mean.
And so, you know what, on that note, we're going to segue into how, you know, this particular conflict affects the rest of the world. Like you did mention, there has been conflict in other parts of the world, but for some reason, this has made news and is still the #1 trending topic. So before we get into that, and before we focus on how this affects Africa and Nigeria in particular, let's take some calls if you are listening and if you'd like to comment on anything that we've shared so far as regards the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. 0809 234 5913, 0809 222 0913, 01515 0913, 01515 1913. Lagos Talks, good morning. What's your name?
Good morning. My name is Mark.
All right, good morning.
Good morning. So, I think the politician is talking about the Russian politician, was it Trotsky? I think his name was something like Leon Trotsky.
No, it's not Trotsky. His name was Khrushchev. Sorry, I remember Khrushchev. Someone has reminded me, Khrushchev.
Okay, so the exception I speak to is that this.
All right, give us a call back. Lagos Talks, good morning. What's your name? Please turn off your radio.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I think the Russian leader are trying to remember is Yeltsin.
No, not Yeltsin, not Yeltsin. Khrushchev. Yeltsin is the one that finally crumbled the Soviet Union.
Yeah, based on your analysis, it is a fact. I don't feel agree with enemies just around me. I can't be between them. It cannot be. I know Yeltsin, and I know Putin. He will not agree. No matter what the Americans think or any other ally or whoever, he will still go ahead and do what he wants.
Yes.
Thank you and have a very wonderful
day. And you know, we should look at the World War II. We should look at World War II very the experience, or you know, we as Nigerians, we think history doesn't matter. We you know, even this whole conversation, you know, shows us that how we are, you know, really failing in our responsibility as Africans. You understand? Europeans, white people from Western Europe to Eastern Europe, these people are a minority in this world. They are a minority. They don't even have a tenth of the numbers of the indigenous people of this world, the black people, the brown people that truly own the majority of earth. But you can see that just by them arguing with themselves, the whole world is shaking. These people are a minority. Their issues should be minor. If we, the majority, but on our job, but because we are slacking, wrong leadership, we cannot even have any effect on the conversation that's going to affect the world that we are the majority of. That being said, let's look at the history of World War II.
All right.
You understand? The Russians paid the highest price for the world to be free of the Nazis.
Okay.
Forget the propaganda of America and D-Day, where they act as if World War II was won at Normandy. You know, in 1943, 18 months before the war. The war was actually won in Stalingrad, you know, where the Russians broke the back of the German military machine, where they suffered their first loss in the entire campaign. And this was due to the doggedness of the Russians. The entire Allied forces lost 500,000. Wow. Russians, 25 million.
Wow.
You understand? But the world is told about World War II as if it's America that saved the world. America did not join the war until 18 months towards the end, when Russia was already winning the war. They came and started dropping nuclear bombs on people as if, as if they were doing something.
Wow.
You know, and use their press system to change the narrative of the
Control
war.
the narrative.
But the experience of the Russians, World War One, World War Two, is that it is through this axis of Poland, Ukraine, that the Germans came in.
Wow.
And we have to understand that the Nazis were assisted in the beginning by the United States.
At the beginning.
The creation of fascism
Wow.
in Spain, General Franco, followed by Mussolini, then Hitler. These were all American-inspired governments. I mean, if you read Mein Kampf, Hitler is full of praises for America. In fact, he was Times Man of the Year in
We
1937.
remember that.
He was Times Man of the Year. This is how much Americans loved him. The Nazi Party was launched in America.
Wow.
Most of their supporters, even till now, this is one of the contradictions of the war that has never been resolved. That even after America joined the war, a majority of American banks and companies continue to sponsor the Nazi regime. What do we say about that? And America, Russia believed then, the Russians believed back then that America refused to join that war because they thought the Germans were going to break the back of the Russians. The Europeans, even though Stalin was calling for the Europeans to open a second front during World War II, he was calling from 1939 for them to open a second front to distract the German forces from Russia. Nobody did. They refused. Churchill was busy fighting in Africa, in Alamein, in one kind of little war. The Americans were island hopping in the Pacific. They refused to open a second front in Europe. So the entire brunt of the German forces was held by the Russians. They know what they went through, 25 million people. So from that time, Russia had a strict policy about Poland. But due to Putin's, he was trying to be diplomatic, he lost Poland. And now Poland is NATO. And he knows the history of his people. So I understand the historical basis of Putin's doggedness, even though the world is trying to erase that part as if, as if this never happened to the Russians.
Yeah.
But the Russians cannot allow, and I understand that. What we as Africans need to take out of this conversation is our total helplessness. If these minority people of the world decide to escalate this violence, what can we do except be casualties? Except go and fight in a war that we know nothing about, just like World War II, where over 500,000 Nigerians perished. I mean, unofficially, but officially they say 200 and something thousand. But way more Nigerians in the war, in the economic austerities that were put in the colonies. People died of hunger here, couldn't eat, couldn't do anything because they were carrying all the money to do war effort. You understand? World War II was one of the things that gingered our colonial freedom movements. The suffering that we're in. Even till now, all that money has not been repaid by Britain and nobody is asking. That's one of the ways puppet governments. That money borrowed from Britain. That Britain borrowed from us even before we became Nigeria. As independent Nigeria, we're already Nigeria as protectorate, but we're not independent. They borrowed money from the colonies. Our money that should have been paid to our mothers, our fathers, they took it, say it's a loan, but till today it has never been repaid.
Wow, Seun, you've said a whole lot. Thank you so much for taking us down history lane. Just to break it down based on some of the things that you've mentioned. So let's touch on this aspect first. As regards the history of Russia, in line with all this conflict that is taking place, how has the world then created or turned the narrative to make Russia then seem like the enemy? Because right now it seems like
it's interesting.
Yes, because right now it seems like Russia is the bully. A lot of people
very
criticizing Russia.
It's the media, it's the power of American media. When we don't speak Russian. You understand? We all speak English. So the English media permeates the world more. The Russians were not imperialists with their power. If we knew our history as Africans, we would actually love the Soviets. We would want to be Soviets. Because it was the Soviets that fought for our independence in Africa. There's no independent movement in Africa that did not receive aid and military support from the Soviets.
Wow.
From South Africa to Mozambique to Zimbabwe to Angola, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria.
Wow.
Where again? Kenya. There's no country in Africa that was in their survive in the time of our greatest need in the 60s, I mean the late 50s, we were largely supported by the Soviets. I mean, if you look at all the constitutions of the founding parties in Africa, all the parties that fought for our independence, they were all socialist in nature. You understand? So, I mean, it's due to our own lack of historical knowledge. We just listen to CNN, we listen to BBC, and we regurgitate what they say there, thinking that is intelligence, instead of us to look at things from our own perspective and how it relates to us. You know, and Dick Gregory, was it Dick Gregory that said something quite interesting? That's how you know the power. No, it was Malcolm X actually that said this. That you know the power of American media. This is how you know. During World War II, the American media made the world hate the Germans and the Japanese, but love the Soviets.
Yes.
Then after the war, the Cold War started, they made the world love the Germans and love the Japanese, but now we hate the Soviets.
Yeah.
You understand? So it is the power of media and propaganda. It is not what has any Russian done to anybody in Nigeria before. Other than we watch CNN, they tell you about KGB, how they disappear people. I mean, come on. You are living in Nigeria, you are afraid of how police arrest people. Your police is arresting you every day, and you are trained by American police, trained by British police. You understand? So we follow propaganda. Whatever is happening in Ukraine and Russia, my own problem with it is that we are helpless in the conversation.
So before getting into how helpless we are in the conversation, and just somewhat tying it to our history as Africans and the way the Soviet helped us, you know, when we were seeking independence and other African countries, I want us to take a look at the stance of Nigeria at the moment in the conversation about this conflict that is taking place. So we're going to touch on that, but we're going to take a break because we have to see what the Nigerian government is saying. Are they trying to be, you know, neutral? Is there a stance that we're eventually going to take, the way some other countries are, you know, brazenly coming out to either support or criticize what Russia is doing? So we're going to touch on all that, and of course we're going to take calls, and I'm going to read out some messages. So let's take a break. Remember, The People's Perspective is brought to you by Adam and Eve, Africa's #1 luxury homeware store. And
Feng Shui your life. Feng Shui your life.
And this is located in Ikeja, number 8 Isaac John Street, Ikeja. If you visit their website, it's Adam and Eve, or AdamEveHomeware.com. So AdamEveHomeware.com. And when you get there, you would see a plethora of options. You know, we always say that if you're seeking to do something different in your house, you want to transform your house into that cozy environment that you're always seeking to go to, that just gives you that comfort that you need, then you should visit their website. If on their website you would see options like dining, outdoor, leather, kitchen, electricals, bed and bath, and the list goes on and on. So
it's not about having money. You must know how to spend it. It's not about just having it. Come on.
Let's take a break, and after the break, we will be moving further into the conversation right here on The People's Perspective.
New home, new office, or just redecorating?
Visit Adam and Eve Luxury Homeware Store for a touch of luxury and comfort to complement your lifestyle.
Choose from our wide range of dining sets, cutlery, kitchen gadgets, small electricals, bed linen, rugs to boardroom tea sets, indoor waterfalls and smart terrace furniture.
Leather travel trolleys from our exotic gifts collection. All available at Adam and Eve Luxury Homeware Store, number 8 Isaac John Street, GRA, Ikeja, Lagos.
Adam and Eve Luxury Homeware Store offers you more than you desire, but what you deserve.
Adam and Eve Luxury Homeware Store. I deserve it.
He says it as it is. No filter, no chill.
Hello, my country people.
She's the nice one, always trying to keep him out of trouble.
Don't say that.
These two are on a mission to be the voice of the people. Lagos, are you ready? The Big Bird has landed.
This is Seun Kuti.
And I'm Ifunanya. Join us every Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 noon on our brand new show.
If I open this my mouth, all tables scatter.
Father, help us all.
Talk to Seun Kuti and Iffy on The People's Perspective every Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Lagos Talks 91.3.
Oh my days.
think our show is the most rocking show. Forget it. Even our adverts.
Alright, turning on the mic. Seun is busting some moves for us in the studio. Guys, if you want to see what's going on, get on his Instagram live. He's live on Instagram. Big Bird Kuti on Instagram. So
Listen,
go check it out.
you don't know anything. Listen, anything can happen now.
Now.
All the people pray for end times.
Well, we pray that this is not how it happens, you know. Yeah, I don't think we're ready for that type of conflict in Nigeria.
Enjoy yourself. Yeah. You don't know it is.
Hey, speaking about that, you know, with the history that you have shared with us already, and with the narrative that is being portrayed by the media, making Russia the enemy, making Russia seem like they want to start another world war. Let's take a look at the stance of Nigeria. We know that
at least Russia did not lie that there's a weapon of mass destruction in Ukraine. They let while we are going.
Yeah,
we are going. They didn't start, you know.
So the Nigerian government yesterday said that it has, and I quote, received with surprise reports of the invasion of Ukraine by Russia.
We were surprised, meaning our intelligence services did not get any information.
We were surprised, and seeing the build-up of the tension since last year, we were still surprised.
Nobody was from Secret Service, DSS was spying for us.
No, we clearly did not. And coming from a press release from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that they shared on Twitter, it says, and I quote, "The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been reassured by the Nigerian embassy in Ukraine of the safety of Nigerians in that country and measures being undertaken to keep them safe and facilitate the evacuation of those who wish to live. The federal government wishes to assure the families with loved ones in Ukraine that as soon as the airports in the country are opened, it would assist in facilitation the evacuation of Nigerians who are willing to leave." Now, speaking about the attacks that are taking place, the Nigerian government also said that it has confirmed that military action by Russia has been confined to military installations in Ukraine.
Praise the Lord.
However, you would see certain things in the media, like the BBC showing videos of residential buildings in Ukraine that have been bombed by Russian forces, although the casualty from the war is yet to be stated. Now, looking at what's going on right now, and with the Nigerian government not outrightly coming out to condemn or to encourage what's going on, but to speak on the Nigerians who have been seeking help, because stranded Nigerians started reaching out to the government saying that they need help to evacuate. Please, I would have to highlight this, that because we saw in the media tension already building since last year. And we know that some countries already put out memos for evacuating their citizens from Ukraine before this happened. However, with the Nigerian government, not until the bombing started yesterday and the students in Ukraine actually reaching out and asking for help, then the Nigerian government coming out to say, well, when the airport opens up, we've made plans for those who want to be evacuated to be evacuated. So first off, let's touch on Nigeria not necessarily taking a stance to either condemn or encourage what's going on, and also let's take a look at Nigeria being so late as regards addressing the safety of her citizens in Ukraine.
This addressing was due to complaining. The Nigerian government first embassy had issued a statement 3 days ago, basically saying, everybody is on your own. Then I just like, what do you? And they now say, okay, evacuation plan. When they reopen airport that has been bombed yesterday. You know what?
You know, I was just so baffled when they reopened the airport.
No, but you see, this is it. This is what I'm saying. You know, imagine somebody from Borno State now, or Zamfara, or any of these states in northern Nigeria. I mean, where is he coming back home to do? So, but we in southern Nigeria, there's value, I think Nigerians have always been the kind of people that know that we're on our own in this kind of situation.
Yes,
it's true. We know.
That's terrible.
We know in our heart of hearts, that we're on our own. You don't see all our billionaires with their private jets mobilizing to help their people. You understand? We are on our own, and these are the kind of situations that should point that to us. But at the same time, what I don't like is that Yahoo boys have started throwing format already.
I don't
I am in Ukraine. I am stuck. My money is send me ice. I was like,
where
waiting.
Did you see that?
I saw it yesterday. I was like, wait, boys, how far? How far, boys? How down now?
You see, one thing about Nigerians, we would always see opportunity. We would always see opportunity everywhere. In the bleakest, the blackest, darkest moment, we will see an opportunity. That's
boys,
one thing about Nigerians. Wow.
Boys, I just weak. I was wikified.
Wikified.
I'm telling you, I was wikified. But anyway, I think, as I've said before, in situations like this, Africans should be confident of their own safety. Matter we no concern us. You understand? We had nothing to do with this. It is not African regional politics. It has nothing to do with our economy. It has nothing to do with our developmental goals. This issue has absolutely nothing to do with Africans. But see how tense we are. Do you think the Chinese are tense like this right now?
Interesting.
You see Chinese people online saying, what is our government? No, they don't care because nobody's going to try any rubbish with China based on any... What? No, but any country what is salt right now. He's just living his life, enjoying himself. Only the people who are concerned. You understand? So, this is why we as Africans must now understand that, we must readdress our understanding of our responsibility to ourselves, our children, our security. I said something before one time on my live I was doing at home, that the way Africa is today, if we were to be re-enslaved, let's create the hypothetical situation where we are to be re-enslaved. The Europeans decide, what can we do to stop Europeans from coming to Africa and just grabbing our children out of our hands? What can we do? If Europeans decide today, we want to take African children, and they just arrive in our shores and start grabbing our children, what can we do? What can we do?
Wow.
What is going to protect us? Apart from our as parents, we must try to use hand. But we just come with their jets.
We have what it takes in our arsenal to protect against that.
No, absolutely nothing. But we know that all the rich people in Nigeria have boats and private jets to quickly, and their children are already carrying the passport of this country. So this is how we know we are on our own, and we now behave as if, instead of strengthening our position, we want to try and become those people that have left us on our own. You understand? And we can't all get there. It's impossible for you to be like, for all of us to suddenly have the opportunities that the elite of Nigeria have given themselves. Yes, every generation they will pick 200, 300, 400 of us and bless their life with their paternalistic largesse, and we all hail that as success, forgetting that hundreds of millions of us are falling into poverty yet again, which is the system they use every generation. That is what I'm taking from this whole Ukraine debacle that's going on. And then also, they take you back to say, man, for okay, no take small hand, collect big one. You when you get small hand, you go give big person slap, and you don't say go give you slap back. And your own hand small, when it will cause damage, your hand will just be like, oh, you crazy for okay, and as I said, be careful. You see, America is a bad friend in this situation. And England and Boris Johnson, these people are dying. Make ancestors let us see friends like this. They were pushing Ukraine up until yesterday. I thought if Russia just cough on Ukraine, you just see in American planes landing from Germany, because they already have a base in Germany. Just landing in Ukraine. It's on now. No. I just see Biden just come out for news yesterday, say, we are angry. We are appalled. We are announcing new set of sanctions. I say, Please, in what way is this sanction going to stop this bomb in the air that's already on its way to Ukraine? How is this sanction going to patch up blood of Ukrainian people?
This is terrible.
More than picking your wife, pick your friends.
Pick your friends.
More than picking your husband, pick your friends. I'm telling you, because this is if I'm the Ukrainian president right now, call by you're a bad man.
Let's take some calls and tweets. Lagos Talk. Lagos Talk, sorry, we lost that one. On Twitter, it is at Lagos Talks 913. Please use the hashtag People's Perspective 913. Use the hashtag The People's Perspective, I should say, as opposed to People's Perspective 913. So The People's Perspective. Lagos Talks, good morning. Who's speaking? Please turn off your radio.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Yeah, this is Mr. T calling from Italy.
Oh, Mr. T, I could tell from that your laugh. I say, this is my homie T on the welcome. Welcome to the. At least you are close to Ukraine. Are you hearing any sound of bomb?
No, not yet. It's still far away, you know. But
Okay.
As we move closer, we don't know how far, you know, this.
Oh, let's hope they'll be
So I don't
far.
think they'll cross.
No, Italians don't want none of this. The Italians have their own issues going
Yeah,
on.
they
are
don't
not.
want any of that.
Okay, so my quick contribution is, I think in the end, everything has to do with one's own interest. So even the whole Soviet Union and Germany, they invaded Poland, they won't go through back then to split it. So everyone acts basically on their own interest. And like rightly said, it's all propaganda, The only difference is that Soviet Union or the Russia itself, they are very clear, when we think they want to do. But like USA, for example, or the West, they kind of hide. They tell this what I call truthful lies. Anyways, finally, my own is how does this affect us? So when are you forming MOP Special Forces? I'm using the Agege command.
I've been thinking. That's a good question, Mr. T, because I was looking at the MOP. I was looking at our manifesto and our plan for defense of Nigeria, which was purely defensive. I think I have to revamp. We have to have a meeting to look at this our defensive strategy. We have to, because I think we'll have to plan evacuations now.
Wow.
Who knows?
This is coming from. So, by the way, if you want to send a tweet, please use the hashtag The People's Perspective so that we can actually see your tweet and read it out.
Talking of bad friends, NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. They were. You know what they said yesterday? They said, we will have help, but Ukraine has not yet joined NATO. And it's because of them wanting to join NATO. Ukraine is getting.
But to be fair,
Ukraine is getting this talking to from Russia right now. Because this is what they call talking to in Yoruba.
What does that mean?
In Yoruba, when they discipline you, they talk to you. And Bawi.
But to be fair, Ukraine is not a part of NATO yet.
But so you two are like this.
No, let's be very fair, because this is not about sentiment.
Wait.
It's about being within an organization and your interests being protected.
I dey toast you now.
Okay.
You don't want green, not be say you don't they give me green light. Say no, this thing will go down. I don't come your house. We don't they do those things when we say I don't say I'm in. Then I can't come when I see one guy they try to talk to you anyhow. Say because he know you before. And me as the say waiting they happen. Waiting they saw. Waiting they. The guy can't begin they shee me. You call there. Call they say I never agree now. That's why I don't put her. No.
But that's in terms of a romantic relationship. At the end of the day,
what is happening to
this is
Ukraine
part
now
of diplomacy.
It's basically because of
no sentiments whatsoever. Because everyone is trying to protect their own interests. You see, that's the thing about the Western world and the European world, as opposed to what happens in Africa. You know, when we always say that this thing called corruption is worldwide, a lot of times when we're taking a look at the Western world, you see that they're being corrupt for themselves.
All corruption.
You understand?
So
for themselves. So even if we want to say it's not fair, at the end of the day they want to protect their own interests.
Where will you hide the money if you are corrupt in Africa? That's why they allow them to be corrupt. If Africans hid their corrupt money in Africa, they will allow corruption in Africa. America would have brought FBI to Nigeria to make sure that we arrest, we bring all corrupt people to book. What are you saying? Don't worry about that.
All right, this is coming from Coldface on Twitter saying, don't you think that Saudi Arabia is doing what they're doing in Yemen is trying to prevent the same thing that Russia is allegedly preventing in Ukraine right now?
Not at all, because Yemen is so far.
This is coming from Ola saying, I heard there might be an African Leaders Conference for AIDS and loans in Ukraine. Would Nigeria be attending? And he said, this is just my sarcasm at play.
Okay. That person that was telling me the name of Nikita Khrushchev.
Yeah.
I mean, we should study these politicians. Really awesome guys.
This is coming from... this is coming from Chifudo saying, Ife and Chinwa National Assembly were busy looking for their own immunity and life pensions instead of preparing to rescue Nigerians in Ukraine. Majabiamela, who neglects Nigerians, should follow air peace for the rescue in Ukraine. I wish Trump and not Biden. Buhari is still the president of... So I wish Trump and not Biden, Okechukwu Buhari is still the president of America, so that Putin will know what the anger of a mad president looks like.
No, Trump cannot fight in Russia. Too many investments.
Of course.
He will call
this will not. They wouldn't have even encouraged this.
You see, the thing about Trump that Nigerians don't understand is that they think Trump was there because he was supporting the Bible. Once you hold Bible, Nigerians just think you are good.
Not.
You understand? Oh, this man is a good man. He's fighting bad people in America. He's fighting homosexuals in America. He's a good person. He's a good person. We don't understand the complexities of international politics and rhetoric. The rhetoric of somebody like Trump. You understand? So.
All right. Before we wrap this up, let's take this call. Lagos Talks. Good morning. What's your name? Please turn off your radio.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
This is Remy from Tottenham.
Hi, Remy. Welcome.
Did you hear our noise from Emirates Stadium yesterday? did you hear the noise after?
All right, Remy. Let's hear you very quickly before we wrap this up. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's about good. This is about interest, like you've been saying. Anybody that thinks that one country, Western country or Eastern country love them, forget that thing. People put their money where they have something in return. Many years ago, the Ukrainians were forced to give up their nuclear weapons, and they were guaranteed security by Russian and the European and the Western government. If they have not given up their nuclear weapons, Russia would never want to attack them. Gaddafi gave up his nuclear dream. If he hasn't done so, he will still be around. And that's why I think it is foolish for Kim Jong-un to give up his nuclear ambition.
Remy, let me just tell you for a fact, Kim Jong no dey speak that language. You know they hear that one. That one no dey know English. You know they hear that English. No go there.
We must empower ourselves and build up our resilience against a future aggressor. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lagos Talks. Good morning. What's your name? Very quickly, let's get your take.
Hello, good morning. My name is Suli.
All right, let's hear you.
The statement of Nigerian embassy in Ukraine. Honestly, this is that the government has no interest of the people at that. Why would you say we evacuate the airport begin to work again? It means after the war.
You know, it doesn't make any sense. Wow, Lagos Talks. Good morning. What's your name?
It's after the war.
Yeah.
We will help you after the war.
Good morning.
Good morning. Very quickly, let's get your take. What's your name, please?
My name is Seun. My name is there.
All right, Seun. Let's hear you.
All right, quickly. You say if you were saying something about if white people come again to carry our children. What can we do to defend ourselves? I think I heard that.
Yes.
Let them come now. Let them come, I beg. We will gladly follow them. Another colonization.
Oh, wow. I don't think I was expecting that.
You have killed me.
Where are they coming?
Sure, you have killed me.
So they don't have to take you by force.
You are waiting. You want to give them appointment.
All right, Lagos Talks. What's your name? All right, we lost that one. Okay, guys, we need to wrap this up right here, right now.
Nigerians
this is David. Hi, David. My name is Ifunaya, not Michelle. Michelle's gone, but thank you very much for contributing. Saying that when you put a president in power for so long, this is what you get. They become emperor and nobody can talk to them. All right, it's 1 minute past 12. This is where we say goodbye, and a big thank you to our sponsors Adam and Eve, Africa's #1 luxury homeware store. Visit them, number 8 Isaac John Street in Ikeja, GRA. Visit their website, Adam Eve Home.